How to prevent an injury from becoming chronic pain. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I apologize for my voice. I'm getting over a cold. Voice is a little bit raspy, but I'm excited to make this video. I got a request for it recently. Now, this video on how to prevent an injury from becoming chronic pain can be useful for two sets of people. Maybe first, you've injured yourself recently. This could include an accident, maybe doing a physical movement and hurting yourself. It would also include things like surgeries or medical procedures. But maybe you're listening and you've recently injured yourself and you want to prevent your pain from becoming chronic. I'm going to explain how we can do that in this video. For second, it's useful, this video, if you've already injured yourself. Like say you've injured yourself and your pain has become chronic. Now, the definition of chronic pain depends who you talk to. Usually it's defined as pain that's lasted either longer than 3 months or longer than 6 months. So if you initially injured yourself, your pain has now become chronic, this video is still very helpful. It's going to explain how you can overcome your chronic pain and symptoms. Now, when we understand what happens when you injure yourself. So I'll give an example. Let's imagine you sprained your ankle while running. What's going to take place is your body and brain are going to communicate signals back and forth. And when we injure ourselves, they're usually communicating signals very accurately. So when you sprain your ankle, what's going to take place is danger signals are going to go up from that ankle to your brain. Danger signals letting your brain know, hey, there's damage in the body. There's some tissue damage here. The brain's going to perceive it accurately, and it's going to click on pain so that you stop moving, stop running, and rest and recover. This is how we typically understand how pain works. Now, when we injure ourselves, usually the pain system is working really well. Now, what will happen to people is they assume that I injured myself. It's been 2 years. My body just must not have healed. The reality about our body is it has an amazing ability to heal. Usually within 2 weeks to a couple of months, the vast majority of injuries actually heal. But for a lot of people, they all of a sudden have chronic pain. So what's taking place? So what's happening is your pain system, it starts to go wonky. It starts to not work effectively in the brain. So imagine when you sprained your ankle, after a couple weeks, that's going to heal. The tissue damage is going to heal. Tendons are going to recover. And now safe signals are going up from your ankle to your brain, letting you know light amount of pressure, no cause for alarm, neutral sensation. But your brain, if it's been stuck in a heightened state of danger, maybe you got dysregulated about your injury, maybe you started to get into a cycle of fear around it. Now all of a sudden, it's misinterpreting signals coming up. And it's clicking on pain even though the body's healed. This is known as neuroplastic pain, which is what I talk about on my channel. So if you're 2 years past an injury, your pain's likely not due to your body still being damaged. What's happened is your pain system in the brain that's now misfiring. And it's clicking on pain even though the body is now healed. And physical treatments are not going to treat that. So when we injure ourselves at first, physical treatments make sense. Physiotherapy, exercises, going to a chiropractor. These types of things make a lot of sense when you injure yourself. But if your injury heals after a couple of weeks and now you have chronic pain, what's going to happen is if you keep going to physio or chiro, it's not treating the issue because it's no longer a body issue, it's a brain issue. Now, in this video, I want to discuss 3 ways you can prevent an injury from becoming chronic, or if your pain's already chronic, how you can mitigate that and reduce it or eliminate it. There's 3 essential things that we need to be watching out for when we injure ourselves. Number 1, do not enter the sensitization cycle. The sensitization cycle is something that I talk about a lot on my channel. It's what triggers and perpetuates neuroplastic pain. So you imagine you have pain from an injury at first, and then you have a dysregulated response. fight, flight, freeze, shutdown, fear, frustration, despair, annoyance, anger, negative thoughts, negative beliefs about your body, or avoidance behaviors, now you have a dysregulated response. Your brain feels more in danger. It triggers more pain or perpetuates it. More pain, more dysregulation, more dysregulation, more pain. So when we injure ourselves, we want to prevent from entering into the sensitization cycle. A lot of people focus solely, as I've said, on physical treatments when they injure themselves, but pain is unpleasant and it naturally dysregulates us. So it's really vital that we're working towards regulating ourselves, that we're not getting too fearful about the pain, and that we're not avoiding too much or too long, and we're not having all these negative thoughts and beliefs. That's where we want to also focus our time, because that's what's going to prevent your injury from becoming chronic pain. Now, on this channel, I have a number of videos that can help you do this. A lot of people come to me after they've been in pain for 5 years, and now we start to do brain retraining. We start to do graded exposure. We start to give safe self-talk. All of this solves the sensitization cycle. It prevents it from continuing on because you're responding to your pain or symptoms in a more regulated way. That's what's going to help you overcome chronic pain or prevent your injury from becoming chronic. But a lot of people, it makes sense because our medicalized society, it tells us treat the physical body. And then people are 5-10 years in after injuring themselves and they're finally come to this approach. So you want to get on top of this right away. I have lots of brain retraining practices on this channel for free. I have lots of educational videos that can help you. Start using this right away, people. It will maximize your chances of your injury not becoming a chronic issue. I'll put a few links down below for some brain retraining practices that you can start to utilize. The other thing around reducing the sensitization cycle is reminding yourself that your body has this amazing ability to heal. And so pain makes sense. Your body's damaged right now after an injury, but it will heal. I'll get better. My body's not flawed or fragile. These are safe messages you're giving yourself, safe self-talk that you're providing your nervous system after an injury. It's really important. Especially if you're an athlete, we can get so scared of injuries because we're terrified we're not going to be able to perform at our sport or perform in a meaningful way. So start to tackle the sensitization cycle, prevent yourself from entering it or perpetuating it on. Now, the second thing you can do after injuring yourself is you can work on nervous system regulation and processing of emotions. As I've said, injuries, they make us really dysregulated. We can also have a lot of difficult emotions like fear, frustration, despair, annoyance, anger. All of that we need to process to help cultivate a state of safety and connection. So again, we don't want to just focus on the physical side when we injure ourselves. Again, the physical side makes sense when you injure yourself. We need to work on the body, but we also need to work on regulating the nervous system and processing emotions. I have a number of emotional practices on this channel. I'll put a few links down below. Try that out. Now, part of this is processing dysregulation or difficult emotions. The other thing is you just want to practice being in a state of safety and connection. I have a number of videos on this channel that just focus on that. I'll put one down below because using some mindfulness, some meditation, some somatic movement that's very calming is going to help you stay regulated as your body heals from an injury and will prevent you from developing chronic pain or chronic symptoms. Now, the last area that you may need to focus on when you have an injury is the processing of trauma about the actual injury. For a lot of people, when we injure ourselves, especially if you have like a surgery, a major accident, something like that take place, you need to likely process the trauma from that event. When our body gets injured, a lot of us go into this trauma response of fight, frustrated, angry, flight, anxious, fearful, nervous, or freeze and shut down where we go numb, disconnect, despair, hopeless, helpless. It makes sense. You're human. You're not to blame for this. When we have injuries, it makes sense that we can have a trauma response because we all of a sudden have all these unpleasant sensations. And especially if it was like a sudden accident or you're being put under for surgery, it's normal to have trauma from that. And what I'll see people happen is they develop chronic pain after their injury is healed, and they actually need to go back, process the trauma from the actual onset of their symptoms during the injury. Now, again, this is YouTube, so I can't process your trauma with you. In my digital course, we outline a whole trauma process around things, which can be really helpful. The link's down below for my digital course. And at my clinic, if you're located in Canada, we're able to work Canada-wide. And my therapist can support you in processing trauma from your injury or medical event. So I hope this video was helpful to understand how we can prevent ourselves from developing chronic pain after an injury. Again, if you've already developed chronic pain after injury, don't worry. You can practice all the things on my channel. They're going to help you overcome chronic pain, chronic symptoms. I lay it all out here for free. So please put your questions or comments down below. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.